Senator from Greene.
Communicate with the body, Mr. President.
Please proceed.
Mr. President, the senator from Jefferson 33 challenges us very appropriately. This is the place for those challenges to happen. This is the place for those words to be spoken. He challenges us to speak to words like sedition and intimidation. Let me preview what I'm going to say to you, and let me speak directly to his challenge. Sedition and intimidation must be spoken against and should not be tolerated. Those words must be spoken against and should be put down. People inciting violence for a cause that's self-serving or a cause that they even believe in their heart of hearts to be true should not be tolerated. Woven into his words is a question: how did we arrive at this place? And there's also a charge in his challenge of what do we do next. Words without action are hollow and empty. So let's first address this question of how did we arrive at this place? Mr. President, when we shout, when we yell, when we tweet in anger, do we actually think for a moment that we're going to convince someone to change their mind because we're stabbing a finger in their face or drowning them out with a voice that makes them impossible to hear, or we're dissing them through some social media platform? Do we actually think we're going to cause someone to pause and say, "Oh, I'm changing my mind"? New words in our lexicon that fascinate me, that speak to this mindset. Clickbait. We've heard the phrase clickbait. We're all chasing that drop the mic moment. Let's say the amazing, fascinating, culminating thing that gives me that sense of overpowering you so I can drop the mic and walk out of the room. And then a new one that's in the lexicon that just fascinates me because it sort of sums all of this up. This phrase of cancel culture. Let's, through social media, cancel one another in this cancel culture. How do we arrive at this place? There's not going to be a single silver bullet solution or an answer that says this is the way we got there. Oh gosh, I wish it were that simple. Wouldn't it be glorious if we could say this is the answer? This changes the world. This bill, this statement, this speech, these words cause a new day to dawn. But it doesn't happen that way. So what do we do about it? What do we do about it? How do we model for the next generation a brighter future? A space for young people to say, I'm excited about what the future holds, and I feel confident in this ongoing exercise in self-governing that we refer to as representative democracy. How do we create pride for those that may not have pride in our country? What does the next step look like? And I'm not going to offer to anybody listening, any member of this body, any citizen in the Commonwealth, that what we're doing in the next few moments or over the course of the next 22 days is going to change the world. But let's set a goal and let's chase that goal. And I'm going to put out a place for us to potentially start. A few moments ago, the clerk read into the record Senate Bill 10. And in reading into the record, he said these words: Senate Bill 10, an act relating to the creation of a commission on race and access to opportunity. Senate Bill 10, for those of us that watch the legislative process, falls in that top 10 pieces of legislation, giving it a bit of a priority status. Senate Bill 10, as it was filed on the clerk's desk just a moment ago, carried with it something that I don't think very many of our top 10 Senate bills carry. Mr. President, it was signed on to by the leaders of the majority party and the leaders of the minority party in this chamber. Signed on as co-sponsors prior to filing. Does that make it grander or more glorious or more likely to achieve its path? I think it carries a greater momentum because of that. But I'm not going to lie to myself and to the rest of those that may be listening that this is going to be a fix-all. We won't remember. The words we say today won't be remembered very long at all. But if these words precipitate some actions that can cause space for change, then we may have an impact that does matter. And I want to share with you briefly what Senate Bill 10, as it's drafted, does. The Commission on Race and Access to Opportunity is hereby established within the Legislative Department of State Government. Within the Legislative Department of State Government, we already have, and they provide a valuable function, within the executive branch, a Human Rights Commission. We don't have in the legislative body an advisory commission to look at legislation, advise us on issues, help us to know the life walk of someone who's not walked a walk similar to mine. This is a very intentional effort to try to create space for more voices, voices that know a different journey than I know. The purpose of the Commission shall be to conduct studies and research on issues where disparities may exist across the sectors of educational equity, health, economic opportunity, and criminal justice in an effort to identify areas of improvement in providing services and opportunities for minority communities. Mr. President, it's going to consist of 13 members. It's going to do this composition of 13 members. The legislation provides for this composition of 13 members in a way I've never seen it done before in this chamber. Equal representation of minority party members and majority party members. This is not a Democrat or Republican issue. This is not a majority or minority question. This is the citizens of the Commonwealth sort of question. It needs to be approached in that fashion. The Commission shall have the authority to hold monthly meetings, to seek comment, testimony, documents, records, or other information from various government agencies and organizations representing the public in order to address existing barriers to minority success and empowerment. I'm excited about what this opportunity provides us, but I think the statements need to also be made about the process that we've gone through to get to this point. And again, I'm not deceiving myself by thinking this is going to be the ultimate silver bullet. And I'm not saying we're perfect in how we've arrived here, but I think it's important that those listening know that many of us in this Commonwealth were moved by what we saw and what we heard and the pain and the suffering experienced in the summer and the fall of 2020. We were moved to have a conversation in our leadership, Mr. President, in August that then, in a very positive fashion, evolved into a caucus conversation. It was scheduled for an hour. It ran almost two, a little over 2 hours, at our caucus retreat on these questions. Can we cause someone to change their mind through force, intimidation, threat, power? I don't think so. I don't think changing someone's mind works that way. But if we can cause each other to pause and to evaluate and to reflect, those moments often precipitate someone changing their own mind. And if through this process we can develop better legislation, create space for more voices, and be influenced in positive ways, we can do something that can last and last and last. Thank you, Mr. President.